Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Chirag Joshi. Welcome back to the CJ Show. This is episode number 18, and this is the first virtual CJ show we're having. And with me, I have today Miss Monica Desai from Surat. Yeah, Surat. And
Yes.
she is an artist, she's an entrepreneur, she's the founder of Ultimately, which is a very cool platform for artists that allows them to express their creativity and make a living out of it. I mean, she'll tell you all about it in the in the chat that we have, but I find it very cool. So anyway, let's begin with this show. Thank you so much, Monica, for joining me today. We've been meaning to do this for a while.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
finally we can do this, and I'm happy. So,
Yes.
Monica, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the community, who you are, what you do, and we'll start from there. Yeah?
Sure, sure. Firstly, thank you so much for such a lovely introduction. Hi, guys. My name is Monica, and I'm an artist by heart and entrepreneur by profession. So that's the short intro. Towards the long intro, I'm an ICT engineer, and I did my BTech from DII City, Gandhinagar. And from there, I started off my career by working with one of Asia's leading SaaS product company, which is called Capillary Technologies. So that's where for around 3.5 years as a senior business analyst. And I mean, the amount of exposure that I got there was insane because, just after the college, I went into this domain where everything was very new to me. And I mean, Capillary has this vibrant portfolio of, over working with over 300 brands across 29 different countries. So for me it's a great experience, and that was when I realized that I mean, no matter how good your product is, you really need a good marketing and sales strategy. I mean, you should really develop that skill of yours. So yeah, that was when I started developing my marketing muscle, my sales muscle. So I could use that into some artsy stuff later on. Because, I always had that artist kida in me that, I wanted to do something related to art. I don't know what, because I always had this thing that, I'm not a great artist because I haven't invested that much into it, but maybe I can facilitate the whole process. Because, when I was a kid, I mean, I started painting and DIYing at the age of 10, 11 around. So I wanted to become an artist when I grow up, but my parents was like, how am I going to earn? I mean, artist was just theek hai, but what about the earning and all of that? So I thought that maybe I couldn't follow my passion, but I will make sure that others can do that. So that was when ultimately came into being. So that was in 2017. So I was doing ultimately along with Capillary, along with my 9 to 5 job. And I was also doing digital marketing along with that. So that when I like, just to try it out, that to be very sure before I quit my job. So I did that for over a year, and I think in 2018 I finally decided that I want to pull the plug and like go full throttle with Ultimately. So in 18 I just finally quit it, and since then it's going to be 2 years now. So yeah, I mean it's going good.
That's great. That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome to hear. Like you took a very practical approach to pursue your
Hmm.
passion, right? Like a lot of people
Correct.
talk about, hey, we want to pursue our passions. What should we do? Should we just quit our job today and just go? But I
Right.
think the path that you took is what I found really interesting. That you found out a bridge, which is the
Right.
digital marketing sort of stuff that you're
Right.
doing, which allowed you
Right.
to then
Right.
create ultimately.
Right.
And today, I think it's doing great.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's amazing. I like that. I think so. There's a lesson to be learned that hey, if you wanna
Correct.
shift from your 9 to 5 that you do not
Mm.
like into something that you do like.
Right.
On a side note,
Mm.
right now 9 to 5 seems like a great option because we don't have jobs out there. So just stick to it if you
Right.
wanna earn a living. Right? A lot of people don't have
Right.
jobs. So I think
Correct.
some of the conversation and the viewpoints that I would normally have, I can't really put them out there because times have changed in a month or so.
Correct.
But yeah,
Correct.
but again, I see a lot of people doing the jump even right now. Like I know a lady who's in KPMG and she's like, you know what, I'm just quitting.
Mm.
I'm gonna figure out what I want to do, and I'm like, wow, that's a
Mm.
bold move, right? Of course,
Mm.
she has some savings, but again, big move to come out of
Yeah.
a firm like KPMG and not know what's the next step,
Right.
and not a surety, right? So that
And I mean,
people are taking. I
it's,
mean,
yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, it's very scary, because like few months down the line, I was really scared, even though I started the digital marketing agency as a side hustle and ultimately as a side project. And then after 1 year, I quit, but still, I mean, managing without, because in job, that by end of the month, you're going to get that salary and like you will be
yeah,
set. But when
yeah,
you're like not, when you don't have a stable job, you don't know when you're going to get the payment from clients and stuff
yeah,
like that. So, I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
True,
it's
true, true.
scary. I mean, it
So,
requires
so,
proper planning.
yeah. So as
Yeah,
a person, were you always like entrepreneurial? I know you're a Gujarati, so it's there somewhere in there.
it's in
But
my blood.
as a yeah,
Yeah.
as a kid or as a person in college, were you always entrepreneurial in some way?
No, actually, no, not at all.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something. So when I joined Capillary, I had this life planned out for me that I'm going to stay here for around 5 years because it's a very promising company. So I joined as an intern and then business analyst, senior business analyst. I'll become consultant and then switch to
Mm-hmm.
a bigger firm, consulting firm, and then do a
Mm-hmm.
GMAT probably and go abroad and study and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I that was the whole plan, But I mean, why I turned to this because I'm passionate about art,
Mm-hmm.
and I follow a lot of leaders and like I draw inspiration from Gary Vee, Elon Musk, and people like them. So like they keep saying that if you want to do if you want to start a startup, do it something which you love, if you're real, which
Mm-hmm.
you're really passionate about, which was
True.
art. So I opted for that, and then I started building my entrepreneurial skills. That okay, chalo, let's figure out what to do next, and how to build
Yeah.
my skills in general. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
yeah,
I mean, that's exactly how I also. I mean, of course, entrepreneurship in these days seems like a really amazing thing to do. That you can build startups from your homes and rooms. Seems great,
right,
right? But again, I mean, I would not have the courage if I didn't love the field in which I was doing what I was doing, right? Like, I mean, my field
correct,
is sustainability with electric vehicles and all of that. So I find that fascinating, and through that as a mechanism, I learned things in terms of how do you
right,
become an entrepreneur, how do you do X, Y, Z, or just
right,
I just figured it all out. But the vehicle
right,
was my passion, right? I think that's the same for you as
exactly,
well.
yeah,
So that's great.
exactly,
So
exactly.
if I have to put you in a tough spot, so would you call yourself? I mean, when you introduce yourself, how do you introduce yourself to people? Would you like to be identified as an artist who is also an entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur who has an sort of artsy sort of vibe to them? Like, how would you want to be identified?
That's a really good question. So, like, I think a lot about this thing, that am I an artist or, am I a businesswoman or, just trying to build up a startup and stuff like that. But I think the core, I'm like, at the core, I'm an artist. And that skill I like to put in the building of the community, which is ultimately because we
Hmm.
aspire, we aim to become world's most artist friendly platform,
Yeah.
where because right now where we see, because we keep doing market researches, and what we have found out is that there are so many moderators in the field of art that charge around 70 to 80% of the commission, and artists
Hmm.
get very like meager amount of the whole chunk. So
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not right, and that I'm able to relate to that and feel for that is because I'm an artist in the first place.
Hmm.
So
True.
yeah, I think I'm an artist. And
Yeah,
then
that
I'm
makes
an
sense.
entrepreneur
That
later.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I mean, it's no different than say a person who wants to start, say I don't know, a coding company. You have to be a coder first in some way to understand to build a coding
Yeah.
platform for other people, right? I mean, it's not necessary, but it's great if you do
Right.
have those skills, and
Right.
especially so in a creative field like art and
Right.
giving a platform to artists and stuff like that. So I think that's very true. I think then you being an
Right.
artist becomes your skill to build your venture, and which is great, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a skill. So
Right.
yeah, I find that really
Right.
fascinating. So tell me, I mean, can you elaborate a little
Right.
more about how exactly does ultimately work, and what is the genius of your platform that you don't have to charge, or you charge zero commission from artists who sell through your platform? Tell, tell me that, because I think
Right.
a lot of people can take away from that, and I think a lot of
Right.
people should build more stuff like these, right? So tell me about it.
Right. Right. All right. So, how, as I said, we aspire to become most artist friendly platform. So, our the whole business model around this thing is B to B to A. So, business to business, and then we connect to the artist. So, the whole business model, or the whole idea is that we charge the businesses, for the services, and then get the majority of the chunk, give the majority of the chunk to the artists, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel that in the evolving market, all the businesses, be it EV, sustainability, or art, or retail, or anything, the line is blurring. I mean, they want to
Mm-hmm.
try different campaigns that are creative. They want to
Yeah.
try different things through which they can attract their customers, per se. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
that's where we come into the play. So we want to
Yeah.
leverage all
Yeah.
those opportunities and then provide it to the artists.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on
Yeah.
how your B2B
Right.
works? Like how is it? What service do you provide to your the businesses, and how does that turn into a very good revenue stream, as well as a space for
Right.
artists to put up there? So can you elaborate on that piece? But I think, because I think that's a very
Right.
important piece to understand.
Sure, sure. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. So in January 2020, we inaugurated. So we partnered up with Airbnb Bangalore, and we come up with this place called Ultimately Spaces. It's called Create Don't
Hmm.
Hate, and it's located in Koramangala, Bangalore. So
Yeah.
what we did is there's this place where artists can come exhibit their work, and we decorated the place in a way that it's around the staircase. It's a four-storied building, and the exhibition is placed around the staircase. So I mean,
Hmm.
so for the people also who come there, to see the place and to stay there, they can have a nice flight of stairs upstairs, and they can have a look at the
Yeah.
artworks and paintings and everything. So in that,
Yeah.
what we did was, we charge a very minimum amount to the artist, and we take zero commission from them. So
Hmm.
basically, artists can, bring their potential customers, invite them to this exhibition
Yeah.
space, and just,
Hmm.
sell their work there and exhibit their work there.
Yeah.
Since there's no, like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
we are not charging any commission for that. So it's just a
Hmm.
benefit for them. And
Yeah.
that's rare
Yeah.
because, when I did, so we were coming up with the pricing model and, the strategy that how should we price it and, work around that. So I did a basic research, which turned
Hmm.
out that all the big art galleries in Bangalore and in Mumbai and Delhi also for that matter, they charge around 15 to 30% of commission, on all the artworks
Hmm.
that get sold from their art galleries.
Yeah.
So, which is a big
Hmm.
amount, I feel. Why should they charge commission, just to exhibit their work? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just not fair, I feel. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
True,
So,
true,
this
true.
is
That's
one
amazing. I
one
like
way
that
through
business model.
which
I
we
mean, in a
provide a
sense,
platform
you're
to
like
the
a
artists.
virtual
But,
art gallery, space that you want
right.
can become an art gallery, that, your
Hmm.
artists can sort of put up their thing on. So
Right.
I find that really fascinating. So, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
and if
Right.
people aren't, getting it, just to simplify it. So what ultimately does, I'm sorry, can you hear me, Monica? You can hear
Yes,
me,
yes,
right?
yes, I
Yeah,
can.
cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Okay. So just to sum it up,
Hello.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So just to sum it up, so your business model, you tie up with you tie up with a co-working space, you tie up with offices, and you beautify
Right.
one wall of theirs, and you make it into a rotating
Right.
artwork where every 3 to 6 months these art pieces change,
Right.
and these art pieces are basically of
Right.
artists who are on your platform.
Right.
So that way you charge
Right.
the businesses, whose
Exactly.
walls you're taking up, for the services you
Hmm.
provide in terms of
Right.
beautifying their walls and making it more
Right.
attractive. And that allows you to not charge anything to your artists who are in your platforms, which is a great business model. When I heard it, I was just blown away.
Right.
I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, I'm so surprised that people
Right.
aren't doing this, because I mean, there's so many people out there doing a lot
I
of
mean,
work in
so
art.
that's
And
that's very well
kudos to you
put.
for doing, yeah.
Right.
Kudos to you for doing all of this. This is great.
Thank you.
So,
So just to
did
add a
you,
bit to it,
did this?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go on, go on.
Yeah, so I mean, this is one vertical, that we do for ultimately. There's this, the other things that we do is online contests. So,
Yeah.
like last to last year, we had a plan with Himalaya that, we are going to launch an online contest for the newly launched products. So that is one
Mm-hmm.
vertical. The other is conduct
Mm-hmm.
corporate workshops.
Yeah.
We so people, if they want to just get their wall painted and stuff, we connect artists to
Mm-hmm.
them. To say things like that. So there are
Yeah.
different revenue streams that we have carved out
Mm-hmm.
for artists. So we find the
Yeah.
opportunity, we connect the artist to the opportunity, and yeah, that's it. Yeah,
That's great. That's great. So, as ultimately, are you the
yeah.
only woman running the show, or do you have a lot of people on your team as well right now?
Okay, so I'm a co-founder. There's one more guy. His name is Pavan Dakshini. So he's the other co-founder, and
Okay.
then we are a team of 7 people. My team
Mm-hmm.
is like remotely based. We work from our
Okay.
respective places and manage the whole
Mm-hmm.
community.
Great, great. That's
Right.
great. So I've heard you have 10,000 people on your platform, which is huge, which is massive, And I hope you guys scale up to, I
Yes.
hope a lot of other people right
Thank
now,
you.
in this quarantine times, people's creativity is being unleashed. So I hope
Thank
ultimately
you.
becomes a platform for that, right? So that's great. So I
Right.
think right now is the time to dive
Right.
into the segment that I told you about. So I've shared. Typically, I would have just thrown my phone
Right.
towards you if we were sitting together, and I would told you, hey, just choose a
Right.
bunch of posts. But because we're doing this virtually, I've sent you 10 posts, and
Right.
you've selected two of them which I have not known at all. So why don't you go ahead and share those posts with me right now, one
Right.
by one, and then we'll go ahead with
Sure.
what are these posts and what are they about and all of that. So yeah, I'm waiting.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sending you the first one. It's actually the meme,
Yes.
where Hulk is like, the resources that they
Oh,
allocate.
okay, okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
Yes,
that's the
yes,
first
yes.
one.
Yeah, I've got it. This is a great meme that I came across, and I always like to do memes, because they're fun, they're engaging, and they put out the message in a really small and crisp way. And that's what I like about meme culture, and that's the whole thing about this show. We want to blend in sustainability and sustainable mobility with pop culture, and make it interesting for people to talk about. So anyway, in this post,
Right,
so what I wanted to
right,
highlight was, so the
right.
electric vehicle industry, if you see it, it's mostly led by startups. I mean, Tesla was a startup that started the whole thing, right? So globally, in the
Mm-hmm,
Indian context, there's Ather
mm-hmm,
Energy that
mm-hmm,
sort of kickstarted the whole game in India, which is based out of Bangalore, and they're based out of Indiranagar. I mean, their scooters are breathtaking. You should absolutely check them
right.
out when you come over to Bangalore once
Wow.
this whole thing is
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
So it's only startups that seem to sort of kick off the race, that seem to embrace it, that seem to change it, and the bigger companies, the Marutis, the
Mm-hmm,
Hondas of the world, and all of these Indian
mm-hmm,
bigwigs, they seem to be a little on the back foot and not really excited about it, not really proactive about it. And that's ironical because these are the guys who have big pockets and big money to actually do it and make it happen and lead the way and take those
right.
losses. So which was weird. So I mean, in the meme that you see is, Hulk is basically the big auto companies, and then Ant-Man there is the tiny EV industry, and those two tacos are what are the resources that they allocate to that tiny industry. So which means that they aren't going all in on the EV industry, and that's the
Right.
reason why electric vehicle startups are the ones leading the way forward, and that's across the board in the world. Yes, Toyotas of the world and all these big companies globally are catching up to it, but still very so slow. And the reason for that is that these big
Yeah,
companies,
yeah.
they already have money put into the distribution pipeline, say 2-3 years from today, right? Because their products
Right,
are in the timeline, their
right.
services, the auto companies, I mean so many other factors, right? So the money is already put in. So it's a much bigger risk for them to take that money out from a place that they know will make them profits
Mm-hmm,
and put it in a
mm-hmm,
place where it may or may not put
mm-hmm,
get the profits that they want in the
mm-hmm,
immediate
mm-hmm.
period. And also the EV
Right.
industry is much smaller than their yearly revenues right now. So for some of these big companies, so it's a gamble, right? So it's
Right.
much harder for them to do it. But that's no excuse, I mean, it's tougher for
Right.
everyone, and that's the beauty of this time we're going
Yeah.
through. For the first time
Yeah.
in history, it doesn't matter if you're a big company or a small company. The playing field is leveled for everyone, and that's why people like me
Exactly.
can just come in and
Right.
maybe do some
Right.
stuff. So that's the reason it's so exciting for me
Yeah.
to come here and be a part of this industry. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's what this meme was all about.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, I would like to add something to that. You know, what you
Yeah.
said makes total sense because I think in last year only, in July 2019, Elon Musk appointed a meme maker as the head of Tesla's social media handles, And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like it makes sense. I mean, marketing to the younger audience is a fine art, and
Yeah,
I mean
absolutely,
cracking
absolutely.
that is very important because
Absolutely,
people
absolutely.
we
And
all look
genius
for
of
very like authentic sort of a content.
yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true. Go on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. No, continue, please. So, I mean, yeah, it's
Okay.
very important. So, I think that's where Elon Musk. So, I was reading one article the other day where it said that whenever people talk about EVs in general, Tesla is the most described name when it comes to EVs. Whereas, like, I mean, Tesla is not the largest producer of EV, if I'm not mistaken. It's I think Renault. If you can
Oh no,
correct
it
me on
is. It
that,
is.
but
Right now, it
it's
is.
weird. I mean, but
It's the
what
largest
Elon Musk?
producer.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Correct, correct. So it's interesting. I mean, the era which we live in, it's just nice.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing you need to know about Tesla and their marketing efforts is that Tesla does not spend. In fact, Tesla does not even have a marketing team in some way. So they do not put regular ads. They do not
Right.
spend on marketing at all. Like very
Hmm.
less, super less. They don't run ads on
Right.
TVs or
Right.
on the internet or anywhere. All they do is, so the genius of their marketing is Elon Musk, okay, because he's such a crowd puller. I mean, everyone who
Mhm.
likes him, everyone loves him, everyone looks up to him. So he
Yeah.
brings in a lot of crowd. And the second is
Right.
the way in which the products are. The
Right.
products speak for themselves. I mean, everyone who has a Tesla wants to show it off on
Yeah.
social media, right?
Yeah.
Its features, so that's where the company focuses. And I'll tell you one good
Yes.
incident. So
Yes.
Tesla last year launched the Cybertruck. It's their first SUV,
Hmm.
electric SUV, and so there was an
Hmm.
instance in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the in the whole presentation where Elon Musk was trying to show how strong their glass is, the window glass, and he throws like a metal ball at it, and it breaks,
Yeah.
and everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh damn!" I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a flop in a way, right?
Right.
Because you're trying to show this thing and it cracks, and then he does the same thing for
Right.
another window and cracks too. So
Right.
this whole thing lasted less than 2 minutes. But believe it or not, that single instance made it a
Hmm.
talking point across the globe. So it gathered huge publicity without Tesla having to spend a
Hmm.
penny on it.
Correct.
Because every article was
Correct.
talking about, oh damn, Tesla's,
Correct.
whatever went bust, this, that, and the other
Right.
thing. So I mean, that's how they function. That's the genius. So they get
Right.
media attention not by paying for it, but by getting it very naturally. So I mean, that's the genius of the company.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Right.
that's that's what this whole thing is all
Exactly.
about. So
Totally.
let's move into the second post.
Perfect.
Okay, so in this, I mean, as you can see, I mean, there's an Amazon parcel being delivered on your doorstep, and on the other end, it's being delivered in the boot of your car. So what this is basically, it's testament to the I'm so sorry. It's testament to the times that we're living in. And right now, that the time that we're living in, oh wow, my throat is a little okay. So the times that we're living in, our cars, our vehicles are so much more connected to the internet than ever before. So that means, so there's a lot of stuff that can be done with software capabilities. So one of the things that can be done is, the boot space of a lot of cars is a big space, it's usually empty also. So that's a place where,
Right.
a lot of things can be
Right.
done. Parcels can be put in, parcels can be taken away. A lot of things can be done, and it's through smart technology. So there's a company that and Amazon's trying to do this. So what they're trying to do is, they're trying to take advantage of this. And any car that has the capability of being connected to the internet. So say I'm an Amazon delivery person and I come up, and you as a user can choose to drop your parcel in the boot of your car. So you can give me a limited time access to only your boot. So I can
Right.
only access your boot and not the entire car. So I can just go ahead and place the parcel and then move away. Of course,
Okay.
there's a lot of security reasons. If
Right.
it's a hatchback, or if in a sedan, of course it works. But if it's a hatchback, you can literally get into the car through the boot,
Right.
right? So a lot of stuff like that. But I'm not sure to what extent is it being used. But it's definitely a practical solution that they're trying to pilot with. So that's what I found very amazing. And the car has become more than just a mode of commute. It has become a center of a lot of our digital lives. Amazon included, music, a lot of car repairing. So the car is, so going forward, the vehicle in which we're going to travel is going to do much more than just travel us from point A to point B. It's going to act as a it's going to act more like our mobiles, that sort of evolved more than just a device to call on. We can do so many things with the mobile. That's
You're
exactly what's
right.
going to happen
Right.
with our cars
Right.
as well, and with mobility in general. And that's why I always like to draw parallels between the mobility industry and the revolution that we're going through right now, and the computer revolution or the smartphone revolution, because it's very parallel. It's gigantic leaps
Right.
from an existing industry, and it's going to completely change the way we travel forever. So yeah, that's what I wanted to highlight through this post, and I try to
Yeah.
highlight it to the best of my
Interesting.
creativity. So yeah, I'd love to hear what do you think about it. Would you represent it differently?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, no. What you said is amazing. And I like the fact that you are drawing parallels between the mobility industry and the computerized, the digitalized world. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and this sort of content is very interesting because when I looked at all the posts, we normally we skim through stuff. We don't really read it. So this was one thing that really attracted me, and I was like, okay, interesting. Let's have a look.
Mhm.
And then I read the caption and the
Yeah.
details that you've mentioned there. So it's good. I mean, the way you're representing things is very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's the aim, The aim is to, because I know, these are all very core, very heavy sort of tech sort of information, and, people don't really like to discuss about it or even talk about it. So it becomes my responsibility because I'm so
Right.
passionate about it. And in some way, I'm also at heart
Right.
an art lover, a creativity lover. I'm a creative kind of guy, I'm not completely sort of, a math kind of person. I'm very creative and artistic. At least I like to believe so. I have
Right.
zero skills in creativity, but I try my best. So that's when I find it
Right.
increasingly important to summarize all of these things that I read, that I have interest in, and then represent it in a way that might be interesting to someone like you who has no relation with this industry, and maybe engage in a conversation that we're currently doing.
Correct.
So that's my
Correct.
primary aim, to
Correct.
engage in conversation. So maybe after this
Correct.
video that we did today, you're going to go back home and sleep, and
Perfect.
maybe think about it, maybe not think about it, maybe talk to your friends about it. So that's when the conversation sort of network starts spreading, and that's my aim. That's all. I don't care how many views
Right.
I get, I don't care how
Right.
many likes, followers, it
Right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
What matters is these
Right.
conversations that move forward. So I always
Yeah.
love doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
That's
uh, that's what it is. So I'd like to know, if you as a person, in any way, sort of, do something about sustainability, or try to work towards it, try to propagate the message. Is there anything you do around sustainability in your own life?
Um, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel it is need of the hour, and I just feel that the main problem with us is that we have this thinking that, somebody else will take care of it. And that is very
Mm-hmm.
wrong in a way. So what I try to do
Mm-hmm.
is I try to do the waste management sort of thing. So I'm a DIY mixed media artist. So
Okay.
what I try to do is all the plastic which is which lies around in the house. I try to make something out of
Mm-hmm.
it, in some artsy manner. So that there's
Yeah.
less wastage, in general.
Mm-hmm.
And also there was
Yeah.
this conference last year that we attended. It was a Hive Global Leaders Program, and we were invited there to take a mini workshop for all the leaders, all the CEOs and CXO sort of level people. So there also, it's a 3 day program. It was a 3 day program. So there they were using this tiny plastic bottles, for water. And you wouldn't believe it. I mean, it was just a 3 day thing, but the wastage was massive, I mean, the plastic wastage. So what we did was we used those plastic bottles and we incorporate that in our the workshop, the session that we took.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
we always try to make sure that, we contribute in one way or the other. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean,
it's
that's the reason I like.
very important.
That's the reason this show even exists. I mean, that's the reason the show even exists, because it's people like you, it's people, who are into the
Right.
creative field, who are artists, who are musicians, who are actors. I don't know, it's you people who take a very deep look into society and the way have been living and try to change it and try to challenge it as well, right? So that's what I love doing, because in my interactions with a lot of the creative people, I understood, okay, these are the people who care the most. So I think these are the people I want to involve in my mission as well, right?
Right.
And guess what? Who are the people who have the most audiences? I mean, you have I don't know how many followers do you have on Instagram? 7-8K, somewhere around that mark, right? Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people like you are
But
the ones who
ultimately,
have.
yes.
Uh, yeah, exactly. So a lot of people like you have the most amount of following as well. So you have the tools to also propagate a message that you so believe in. So I thought, you know what? I think it makes 100%
Exactly.
sense to get people like you involved, and that's why I love doing this. And while you were saying, I just got an idea. Maybe like what I mean. Correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me. Tell me if there are people doing this. So what if, all these events that are being organized, of course, now there are going to be less and less events being organized, but, concerts, music concerts and whatever EDM concerts and all these guys, again, creative folks. So a lot of people go there,
Right.
a lot of people go there and they create all kinds of waste. So is there, I mean, just like to the point of a bottle cap thing, and a lot of bottles are being used in these concerts. So what if an organization, a creative organization could go take the waste from there and create beautiful art pieces out of it and then sell it. So that could become a really interesting way of making the best use of waste created in a creative space, and then also creatively using that waste to then sell it to people. Don't you think something like this would be great?
I think I lost you in the between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I mean, how much did you hear me?
Yeah. So you were getting to your question. I
Okay,
mean,
okay. So the
this is an
question is
interesting way
basically,
you said that, maybe. Or
yeah, so the question is that, imagine these huge concerts that are organized by musicians or dancers or whoever, and a lot of waste is generated, mainly plastic waste because of water and water bottles and caps and stuff like that. So to the point that you were saying that, you made interesting use of bottle caps. So what if there was an
right,
organization like this that only
right,
partnered up with events and told them that, hey, any waste that you generate, please give it to us. We're the guys who make interesting stuff out of this waste and then sell it to people.
right,
So, don't you think that would be a very amazing way to
right,
reuse that
right.
waste? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, totally, because I think this year only, in the beginning, I attended one art festival, and there they had sculptures made just with plastic bottles, and it was so beautiful. I mean, at first glance, I couldn't even figure out that those are plastic bottles because they had painted it and stuff. So yeah, I mean, there is an opportunity there where people can actually take like use those plastic waste and then mold it into something beautiful. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
In
Yeah,
fact,
I
I'm
mean,
going to
that's
think
the
about this, after this
awesome. Great.
conversation.
I hope something good comes out of it. So, I mean, that's what I mean. These things just keep roaming around in my head. And honestly, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's a matter of effort. I don't even think it's like tough to do all of this. It's a matter of effort, putting in the effort to make all of this
yeah,
happen. Okay, I'm gonna head to my last question now.
yeah.
Okay, it's about your commute behavior. So please tell me, how was it that you traveled to and fro from work or anywhere, wherever you stayed? Like what was your commute pattern like? Tell me before COVID-19.
Um, of course. So normally I either walk, because it's very close to the place where I live, and but I would like to tell you one incident. So I go to gym, after my work is done and stuff. So it's very close to my place again, because that's the golden rule of Bangalore, that all the
Yeah.
places should be in your vicinity.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's very difficult to travel.
Yeah.
So anyway, but so what I used to do is every day I used to walk for around 3 kilometers, to go to the gym. But after a point, I started feeling a mild headache, and it
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, I couldn't figure out in the beginning that what is exactly happening. But
Mm-hmm.
when it persisted, I figured out that probably the quality of air is so bad that it's
Mm-hmm.
affecting me, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, HSR is not even very polluted area in general.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
very polluted when it comes to like traffic congestion and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and still I'm getting that symptoms and I'm feeling the headache and stuff. It was very bad. So the next
Mm-hmm.
day I thought that maybe let me take auto, to avoid that. But
Yeah.
you get it. This is a vicious cycle
Yeah.
that comes
Exactly.
into the play,
Exactly.
that to
Exactly.
avoid the air pollution, taking an auto and creating more pollution.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I then bought
True.
a
True.
mask and then I used to walk.
True, true, true. No, that makes sense. Of course, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
that's exactly
yeah,
the vicious cycle that you want to break, you know? Like, I mean, we can afford these auto rickshaws and these bikes and cars and,
yeah.
I mean, so I mean, I find it so weird that, the reaction of most rich people towards pollution is that, hey, let's buy a car that, and let's turn on an AC and build a filter into
Yeah,
that car that doesn't put pollution into our car, and we can breathe easy air while they're polluting.
right,
That's the worst thing that I can imagine.
right,
So yeah, it's weird.
right.
So weird. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the reason vehicles have such a high
That
role
is
to
the
play.
ostrich mentality.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're
Right,
trying to combat.
right.
So Monica, so I want to ask, how is your commute
Hmm.
behavior gonna change after COVID-19? What are the things that are gonna change from your end while
Hmm.
you commute to anywhere? I mean, it shouldn't be just work. I mean, weekend travels, whatever. So how is it? Do you think your individual commute behavior is gonna change once this whole lockdown ends and once you're sort of back to normal life?
Hmm, hmm, hmm. So I'm like, I normally love to walk, in general. And what I try to do is I try to incorporate that in my daily habit. So I've like, after that episode, I bought a mask for myself, that probably I
Hmm.
could wear that mask and then walk.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And I'm also a big advocate of using public transportation. I
Hmm.
feel, I mean, if you're going in the same direction, and if you can save on a lot of cars and
Yeah.
vehicles,
Hmm.
why not? I mean,
Hmm.
better use the public transportation. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
mean,
don't you think? I mean,
that's what I'm
like
trying
that's
to
what I mean.
I'm doing.
That would have been a great solution of using public transportation before the COVID-19 situation. But now public transportation in
COVID,
itself has
yeah,
become a
yeah,
place where you might not want to put yourself into, because there's a lot of people, a lot of hands touching here and there. So
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I want to ask. If not
yeah,
public transportation, that's not an
yeah,
option.
yeah.
What is it? How is it that you're going to travel? So
Mm.
that's the
Hmm.
question.
Hmm. Hmm, interesting. So for example, in Bangalore, there's this. I mean, you know about Yulu, right? You have
Yeah, yeah,
had the
yep, yep.
conversation with the CEO also. I saw. So Yulu is something amazing. You can quickly hop on the vehicle and just drive around, and you can
Yeah.
travel to longer distances also using Yulu. So
Yes,
that's the good
yes,
thing.
yes.
So probably I'll
Awesome.
resort to Yulu or walk, and if nothing works out, maybe auto, but I'll avoid that.
Okay, okay. No, no, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's completely fine. Just because you're on my channel, you don't have to be guilty of
Yeah.
using auto rickshaws. I have a Dio
No, no, no.
that definitely pollutes. Okay, so I'm not. So the whole challenge here is to overthrow this current system that forces us to bank on these polluting assets. But so don't feel guilty about it. I don't. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
great. That's exactly what people
No, no,
will
no.
do.
I feel guilty in general, because
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Go on, go
right,
on.
right. I feel guilty in general with all the pollution that we are creating. And
Great.
I
Okay.
wanted to ask you also about this, that
Hmm.
how do you think people are going to change their mentality, or change their habits after, like, post COVID? Because with what
Okay.
has happened due to the pandemic. People have seen that how things can
Hmm.
go like really grave, and how things can go very bad if we don't take care of about of the environment, or like things in general. So like, do you think there's going
Yeah.
to be a change in mindset, or like people will be back to
Uh,
normal?
Yeah, yeah,
What do you
yeah.
think?
Good question. So actually, I mean, if you talk about transportation in general, see, it's a weird thing that's going to happen post COVID now. That public transportation and places where there are more people involved in a single unit are going to be places you don't want to enter, because it's a question of health and life potentially, right? So, I mean, I wouldn't advocate anyone, and I definitely wouldn't judge
Mm-hmm.
someone who will say that, hey, nope, I'm not gonna, take a metro or a bus to wherever go. I'm gonna bank on my personal sort of vehicle, and that's exactly what's gonna happen right now for some time. And exactly, services like Yulu or your personal transportation is what majority of the people are gonna bank on. And those people
Right.
who did not have any personal transportation as such, and were using buses and metros to travel, I think these are the people who are gonna bank on something like bicycles. So, I mean, this is sort of some sort of like a prediction I'm making, that hey, bicycling actually might increase, because a
Mm.
daily wage worker really doesn't have the money to go buy a bike, right? But he does money have to buy
Right.
a cycle, 4 or 5K cycle,
Right.
right? So I think,
Right.
I'm
Right.
guessing in some way cycling could come back because of that reason,
Mm-hmm.
because they wouldn't want to put
Interesting.
their lives on risk. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think. And yeah, you're on the right
Love.
track. Yulu, and that's exactly what's gonna boom. And in fact, I'm gonna be on a panel with Yulu tomorrow at 4 from 4 to 5, and discussing similar things.
Wow. Wow.
And this is exactly what I've told them as well, that your service is going to be used the
Congratulations.
most. That's great. Thank you so much. So, Monica,
Right.
thank you so much for being a part of the episode 18 and the first virtual CJ show. I mean, I love the conversation. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you
Yeah.
so much for being a part of it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And I mean, I had real fun, talking with you, and it was nice. And I would like to depart on a very simple note. I mean, what you're doing is great. And you know what is art? Art is something that can stir emotion, that can start a
Hmm.
conversation.
Yep,
And you are
absolutely.
you're on the right track,
That's
So
great.
all the
Thank you
best
so
and
much.
more power to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to you guys for watching this video. And I hope you got something amazing from this video that I did. And yeah, more to come, more videos like this to come. Check out Ultimately if you're an artist, and refer it to your art friends. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye, and be driven differently.